The courtroom has the faint scent of wood polish and stale coffee, a blend of history and weariness. The entire public gallery is packed. The people crowded shoulder to shoulder, humming in muted murmur. At the heart of it all, Courtney Brown is sitting up straight at the plaintiff's table, her hands clasped demurely, but her knuckles white from the grip. Her gaze isn't fixed on the judge. It is fixed, steady, on Kody. Kody sits across from him, reclining in his chair as though he's the owner of the place, or as though he's trying to get everyone to think he is. Robyn sits next to him, her expression set in that perfect mixture of calm and anger. The bailiff calls, case number 24 BR 1187, Brown versus Brown, dispute over property. His voice rings out, cutting through the murmurs. The steel gray-haired judge, known for his zero-tolerance level of patience, peers at his notes. Miss Brown, you've asked to enter more evidence today. Christine rises. Her chair creaks in a soft shuffle. She breathes slowly, steady but measured. Yes, Your Honor. I have in my possession a deed, the original deed to the Coyote Pass property. Gasp waves move throughout the room like a wave. Kody's jaw clenches. Your Honor, his lawyer interrupts. We were not advised. Christine produces a crinkled manila folder. The corners are worn, the pages within yellowed. She strides over to the bench and hands it to the bailiff, who hands it to the judge. The judge pushes his glasses up his nose, scanning the pages with deliberate slowness. Then he stops. This indicates you as the majority owner? Yes, Your Honor, Christine replies firmly. It's signed, notarized, and filed at the county office in 2014. Kody leans in. That's impossible. I was the one who... Christine doesn't glance at him. It's not impossible, Kody. It's just the truth you've been keeping under wraps. And at that moment, all people in that courtroom know, this trial has now become a struggle for something greater than land. It's a battle for the family's whole legacy. The judge's brow knots. Mr. Brown, did you know about this version of the deed? I knew, Kody responds cautiously, that there was a deed. But this is a forgery. Christine's lips twist into a sour smile. If it's a forgery, then why do I see your signature right there? She points, her finger suspended above the page. The judge looks to the clerk. We'll want a forensic handwriting expert. The courtroom begins buzzing once more. Christine takes her seat, her heart racing so hard she hears it pounding in her ears. She is aware that this is just the initial blow, but she is also aware that she has more than one trick up her sleeve. She stands in the corner of the room, listening wordlessly, her eyes darting back and forth between Christine and Kody. She's aware of fragments of the story, but not the entire thing. And if Christine is telling the truth, then Kody's been lying for years, to all of them. As the recess is called, the gallery erupts into talk. Reporters swarm out to call their editors. Robyn hovers over Kody, her hair in her face, whispering frantically, her words indistinguishable. Christine gathers her papers, but doesn't make a move. She glances over at Kody, actually sees him. There is no love there anymore, just calculation. And for a moment, she catches sight of something glinting in his eyes. Not fear, not anger. Something worse. Confidence. The hallway outside is bedlam. Cameras pop, questions yelled. Christine navigates through them like a soldier, her attorney protecting her. But halfway to the elevator, she hears it. Christine, did you steal the deed from the county office? She stiffens, spins. No, but let me tell you something. If the truth frightens him, that tells us more about him than it does me. The reporter writes madly. Christine enters the elevator, the doors shutting like a curtain dropping after the first act. Back in the courtroom, Kody takes out his phone and pecks out a hasty message. He passes it along the table to Robyn. The gallery camera only gets one word before it is turned over. Tonight, the judge resumes. This court will receive expert testimony on the deed at the next hearing. In the meantime, all parties are ordered not to comment on the case in public. Christine nods, but already in her mind, the war has started. And somewhere tucked away in a locked desk drawer in her own home is another sheet of paper, one that's even more deadly than the deed she just showed. Because sometimes the best proof isn't the one you produce at the beginning. It's the one you hold back until the enemy thinks they've already prevailed. The gavel comes down. Session adjourned. Christine exits without turning around. She doesn't have to catch sight of Kody's face to know exactly what's there. The guy who thought he could outsmart her just figured out. She's been 2 steps ahead of him the whole time, and within 24 hours, that second sheet of paper will make somebody in this family decide between loyalty and the truth. The sun rises over the courthouse windows, pouring in through the tall panes and casting long strips of gold across the varnished floor. It's the first full day of testimony, and the air is already thick enough to strangle on. The crowd streams in, packed into the gallery in a murmur of expectation. The rustle of paper, the squeak of chair, and the occasional nervous clearing of the throat are audible. Small noises that travel far in this sort of hush. Christine is already seated at her table, wearing a dark navy jacket that accentuates the shape of her eyes to make them seem sharper than ever. She's drinking water, trying not to acknowledge the stares people are giving her, muttering in hushed tones about what she pulled yesterday. She doesn't have to hear the words. She feels the gravity of them. Kody enters a few minutes afterwards with Robyn beside him, their footsteps falling in time as though they've practiced it. He keeps his eyes ahead, his jaw clenched, but his shoulders betray him. They're a trifle higher, a trifle more tense than usual. He's shaken, even though he won't acknowledge it. The bailiff cries out for order, and the judge enters, robes billowing like the final curtain of a playhouse stage. He takes a seat, adjusts his spectacles, surveys the room, and begins to speak. Today we will hear testimony on the question of the plaintiff's ownership of Coyote Pass property. We will begin with the plaintiff's witness, Christine's lawyer, a high woman named Marla, whose voice sounds as smooth as steel, stands. Your Honor, the plaintiff calls Deputy Clerk of Records, Mr. Howard Reeve. A man in his late 50s rises, dressed in a suit one size too large. He is sworn in and then sits at the witness stand. Marla approaches. Mr. Reeve, can you tell the court your position and responsibilities? I work for the county clerk's office. My job includes filing property records, deeds, mortgages, and ensuring documents are entered into the public registry. And are you familiar with the property known as Coyote Pass? Yes, ma'am. It's been in our system for over a decade with multiple recorded documents. Marla raises the manila folder that matches the one Christine brought in yesterday, and presents it to the jury. Do you see this document? Mr. Reeve leans forward and removes his glasses. Yes, this is the original deed we have on record. 2014. Listing Miss Christine Brown as owner of 52% of the property. A murmur sweeps through the court. Robyn shifts uncomfortably in her seat, looking at Kody, whose lips are compressed so tightly they've gone white. And in that instant, all the jurors lean forward a little bit, as if they sense the tale they're about to be told will differ from the one Kody's been speaking. Marla goes on. Has this deed ever been changed or replaced in your files? Not technically, says Mr. Reeve cautiously. But I will observe there's a second deed, dated 2018, with varied percentages of ownership. Mr. Kody Brown, with majority. Christine's eyes flash. And had I signed that second deed? No. In fact, your name does not even appear on that document with any signature. Gasps once more. Kody's lawyer jumps up. Objection, Your Honor. The 2018 deed is valid and legally recorded. The judge nods. Sustained for now. Let's proceed. Marla glides slowly, refocusing her attention on the witness. Mr. Reeve, according to your records, is this 2014 deed valid? Yes, ma'am. It's duly notarized, signed by both parties, and recorded within the time period allowed by law. Christine's chest constricts. But it's not fear. It's the slow fire of vindication. She's been told for years that she dreamed it all up, that she got it wrong, that she had no right to what she contributed. And now the paper on the table in front of them tells a different story. The defense gets their turn. Kody's lawyer, a thin man named Weston, strides to the stand with a grin that's all teeth. Mr. Reeve, how secure is your records system? It's secure, the witness answers, though like any system it's only as secure as the people with access. So it's possible, Weston says, leaning forward, that someone, maybe someone with a motive, might insert a forged document into your records. Marla stands. Objection, speculation. Sustained, the judge rules. Weston switches tactics. Have you personally examined the chain of custody on this 2014 deed? No, sir. So you can't swear under oath that it hasn't been altered since it was originally filed? Mr. Reeve pauses. No, sir. Kody's lawyer smiles and returns to his seat. Christine feels the bite of that delay. She knows the way doubt works. It doesn't need to win the entire argument. It just needs to cede something. The morning drags on with grueling questioning, the kind that grinds everyone down. Dates, signatures, notary seals, filing numbers, the dry material that can still hurt deep if the questions are posed correctly. While on a brief recess, Christine edges toward Marla. He's attempting to make this about forgery. Marla nods. Let him. The more he insists on it, the more we can pound him on why there needs to be a second deed. Period. Christine breathes slowly, steadying herself. Behind the courtroom doors, she can hear the mics already live as reporters give their reports, their voices indistinct but insistent. Following the recess, the next witness, a handwriting specialist named Dr. Avery, is summoned by the judge. A tall and bespectacled woman, she walks up to the stand with the air of someone who's fought hundreds of these wars. She has produced both the 2014 and 2018 deeds. In my examination, the 2014 deed signature is consistent with Mr. Brown's known signatures during that year, and the 2018 deed. Marla asks. Dr. Avery nods her head. Also Mr. Brown's, but the differences are dramatic. In 2018, the strokes are heavier, the pressure more erratic, indicating stress or haste in signing. Christine keeps a close eye on Kody. His fingers drum on the table, his eyes fixed on the witness, as if he is attempting to will her into silence. Marla's voice slices through the tension. Dr. Avery, is there any evidence that Miss Brown signed the 2018 deed? No, actually the area where her signature would be is empty. The gallery stirs once again. Kody's lawyer takes the stand for cross-examination. But rather than challenging the signature, he targets the expert herself, her credentials, her fee for testifying, her alleged bias. It's the sort of challenge intended to unsettle, but Dr. Avery remains firm, her responses concise and assured. And with each time she refuses to be unsettled, Christine feels a little more of solid ground returned under her feet. By nightfall, the testimony has told two dramatically different accounts. Christine's side tells that she was the rightful majority owner until a mysterious second deed materialized without her permission. Kody's side tells that the second deed merely corrected their agreement, and that Christine is creating outrage to claim what's not hers. As the judge adjourns, Christine observes something. Kody hasn't given her one glance all day, not a straight-on look, not even when she was looking directly at him. In front of the courthouse, reporters are present in large numbers again. One yells, Christine, do you think Kody forged the 2018 deed? She pauses, looks right at the camera, and says, I think Kody knows exactly how that deed came to be. And I think deep down, he's terrified the rest of you will find out too. That evening, Christine sits at her kitchen table, the 2014 deed laid out in front of her. She strokes her fingers over the paper, tracing the lines of Kody's signature. Her mind wanders back to the day they signed it, the laughter, the champagne, the dreams they made for the land. Back then, she had thought she believed in those dreams. Her phone vibrates. It is a blocked number. She hesitates before answering. A man's voice she doesn't know comments. You think you've got evidence? That deed is only the beginning. There are other papers you haven't seen, and if you want to see them, you'd better see me tomorrow. The line goes dead. Christine sits numb, the hum of the refrigerator, the only noise in the room. And in the darkness somewhere, there is another person who has a key to this case, and they just decided to give it to her. The morning session picks up where the previous session left off, with a strained recess interposed. But the atmosphere in the courtroom is altered now, thicker, heavier, almost oppressive. Kody sits stiff in his seat, his jaw clenched so hard that a muscle trembles in his cheek. Christine, by contrast, has a strange composure about her, as if she's been waiting to do this for years. Her fingers lie lightly on the table before her, but her gaze does not once stray from Kody's face. The bailiff demands order, and Judge Harris leans forward, eyes glinting. Miss Brown, you may proceed. Christine rises slowly, smoothing her jacket, and moves over to the witness stand, where another person is sitting down. There's a tall, salt and pepper-haired man, in a well-tailored gray suit, placing a leather briefcase at his feet. He exudes power, the type of man who's been in more courtrooms than he has fingers on both hands. Now Christine starts, her tone firm, but with a subtle heaviness. Is Paul Dennison, a certified forensic document examiner. Mr. Dennison, can you please explain the court the findings on the deed in question? Paul adjusts his glasses, looks momentarily at the judge, then at the jury. I was presented with two sets of property documents. One is the deed now on file with the county. The second is the document Miss Brown introduced yesterday. My job was to verify if the signatures on the documents are authentic, and if there are any indications of tampering or forgery. Robyn squirms uncomfortably in her seat behind Kody, tightly crossing her arms. Paul goes on. After examining both documents under magnification, and with the infrared and ultraviolet light tests, I can say with a high degree of certainty. He hesitates for a quarter of a second, long enough for the whole room to be on the edge of their seats. The signature on Miss Brown's deed is consistent with Mr. Brown's known handwriting style, with no evidence of forgery. The ensuing silence is deafening. Then there erupts in the courtroom a ripple of whispers. Kody's face burns a deep red, and his attorney jumps up at once. Objection. This so-called expert is jumping to conclusions without complete context. We contest the chain of custody of this supposed deed. The judge bangs his gavel once. Overruled for the time being. The jury will evaluate the credibility of testimony. Kody leans in towards his lawyer, hissing something inaudibly, but Christine's face doesn't shift. She's not smirking. She's not even smiling. She's just firm. And in that resolute silence the viewers watching can sense it. Something far greater than a piece of paper is on the line here. The questioning persists, with Christine's lawyer requesting Paul to explain discrepancies between the two deeds. Paul highlights tiny, nearly imperceptible differences. The color of the ink, the feel of the paper, the slight impressions of a notary seal that appears on one document but not on the other. When it's the defense's turn, Kody's lawyer attempts to discredit Paul. Isn't it true, Mr. Dennison, that you've been compensated for your work by Miss Brown? Yes, answers Paul unhesitantly, as is standard with expert witnesses. But compensation does not impact the science. Still, the lawyer insists. And you can assure me that this so-called original deed wasn't created recently, can you? Paul's voice does not change. If this was forged just recently, the paper aging, ink oxidation, and impressions from the notary wouldn't be in the time frame reported. And they are. The lawyer frowns, sensing the attack line isn't working. As the testimony comes to a close, Christine's lawyer stands up to say that they will be calling yet another witness, someone who supposedly witnessed the signing of the original deed. The name surprises everyone. Meri Brown. The whole courtroom appears to be holding its breath. Meri, sitting quietly at the back of the room, freezes in mid-motion. She glances between Christine and Kody, her eyes wide with near panic. Slowly she rises and walks forward, her heels clicking against the floor in sharp, slow beats. She stands, not making eye contact with either of them. The oath is taken, and Christine's lawyer doesn't delay. Meri, did you ever find yourself in attendance when a property deed for Coyote Pass was signed in 2018? Meri pauses. Yes, I was there. Kody hunches forward, his tone aggressive. Meri, the judge interrupts. Mr. Brown, you are to be silent while the witness answers questions. Christine Hyatt's lawyer moves in closer. Can you describe what you recall from that day? Meri swallows hard. We were all in the kitchen of the Flagstaff house. Kody had the documents spread out on the table. He said it was just a formality, that we all needed to sign so the property would be evenly distributed. Christine signed, and so did he. I saw him do it. I also saw the notary stamp it right there. Kody bangs his hand on the table. That's not true. The judge's gavel thunders in the air. Mr. Brown, one more interruption, and I will hold you in contempt. For a second you can almost hear the silent question hovering in every head in the room. If Meri is telling the truth, what else has Kody been keeping secret all along? Meri's eyes glimmer, but her voice remains steadfast. I remember because Kody was in a rush. He said he had somewhere to go afterward and didn't want the notary to wait too long. I thought it was odd, but I didn't question it at the time. The cross-examination is ruthless. Kody's attorney needles her memory, accuses her of being aligned with Christine out of spite. But Meri does not give in. I'm telling the truth. Whether you believe me or not, that's what happened. When she leaves the stand, the room seems charged, lit with a combination of skepticism, distrust, and the smallest sense of vindication on Christine's behalf. Judge Harris asks for a brief recess. Individuals stream out into the corridor, whispers spreading like wildfire. Some are of the opinion that Christine's case is watertight now. Others believe Kody will produce something out of the blue to derail her momentum. Standing in the hall once more, Christine is beside the water fountain, her lawyer by her side. Meri comes slowly toward her, her face impossible to read. They do not hug, they do not smile. They simply exchange a lengthy wordless stare, as if recognizing this one instant has forever altered everything. Kody, on the other hand, is pacing by the double doors, his phone pressed to his ear. His voice is low, clipped and urgent. No one can catch the words, but the tension in his stance tells it all. He's cooking something up, and it's not finished yet. And that's when you see, the most harmful moves are usually taken outside the courtroom, in the darkness no one sees. The following morning, the courtroom seems colder for some reason, like the air itself senses that something is going to change. The murmurs in the hallway before the doors open are frantic. Reporters mouth their lines into microphones, their cameramen adjusting their lenses for that ideal shot. Fans of the show who manage to secure seats are craning their necks to get a glimpse of Christine and Kody before proceedings begin. Christine comes first, escorted by her lawyer and a handful of supporters. She is dressed in a dark navy blazer, her hair tied back off her face, her expression unreadable. If she is anxious, she does not show it. At her rear, Meri slips into the gallery, sitting toward the back. She keeps her head down, and her eyes away from everyone. Then Kody arrives, and all about him is changed from yesterday. His suit is trimmed sharper, his pace is quicker, and there's a smirk dancing at the corner of his mouth. He greets his lawyer, leans close, and whispers something that makes the guy nod with assurance. Christine catches it right away. Her gut coils. Whatever Kody's cooking up, he thinks it's gonna be a winner. The bailiff rings the court to order, and Judge Harris comes to the bench. We will proceed with the case of the defense, the judge declares. Kody's attorney rises. Your Honor, the defense wishes to produce newly discovered evidence, which goes directly to contradicting the validity of the deed produced by Miss Brown. Christine's lawyer is already standing. Objection, Your Honor. Defense had every chance to introduce evidence in discovery. Bringing it up now, the judge raises a hand. I'll listen to what this evidence is before I rule. Kody's attorney grabs a folder from the table and takes it over to the clerk, who gives it to the judge. This, he continues, is an affidavit upon oath by the notary public, said to have stamped the original deed. The notary avers that she has no memory ever having notarized such a document for Mr. or Miss Brown, and that the seal impression on the document is not the same as her official stamp during that year. The courtroom erupts in grumblings. Christine's heartbeat accelerates. Judge Harris flips through the papers, scanning quickly. And you're saying this witness is available to testify? Yes, Your Honor. She's here today. Christine leans toward her attorney, whispering sharply. This is ridiculous. That woman was in our kitchen. Meri saw her. But before her lawyer can respond, the bailiff is already escorting a woman in her mid-50s to the stand. She wears a simple cardigan and skirt, her hair pulled into a bun, and she walks with the quiet confidence of someone used to dealing with official documents. After the oath is administered, Kody's attorney begins. Ma'am, please state your name for the record. Laura Martinez. And your profession? I am a licensed notary public in the state of Arizona. I've been working since 2009. The attorney walks slowly in front of her. Miss Martinez, I'm presenting to you what's been designated as Exhibit 12. The deed which is claimed to have been notarized by you as per the plaintiff. Do you know this? She reads it for an instant, then shakes her head again. No, I have never seen this document before. Can you explain to the court why you didn't notarize it? On top of that, my 2018 notary stamp is slightly different than the one you have here. And two, I maintain very detailed logs of each document I notarize, including date, time, and parties. I went through my records, and there's no record of a deed involving the Browns on the date indicated. Christine's lawyer leaps up from his seat. Miss Martinez, are you sure your records for that year are thorough? A possibility of a missing entry. I'm sure, she asserts. I have both electronic and hard copy backups. If I had sworn this out, it would be on record. Christine senses the jury's focus shifting. The seed of doubt Kody hoped already sown. Her attorney tries to counter. Miss Martinez, is it possible you notarized the deed in a less formal setting, perhaps in someone's home, and simply forgot to log it? I suppose anything is possible, she admits. But it would be a violation of my professional duty. And I have never failed to log a document in over a decade of work. Kody leans back in his chair, his gaze fixed on Christine as though challenging her to discover an escape from this trap. As the witness is dismissed, the defense summons their next surprise, a handwriting expert of their own. A young man with slicked back hair and a high pile of binders steps into the witness stand and identifies himself as Dr. Evan Hargrove, a forensic document authentication specialist. When under direct examination, Dr. Hargrove asserts that the signature on Christine's deed resembles Kody's writing, but there are inconsistencies in pressure and stroke direction, which indicate the possibility the signature might have been traced or copied. Christine's lawyer counterattacks fiercely on cross-examination, explaining that handwriting differences are possible naturally based on writing tool, surface, or even mood of the signer. But the damage is irreparable. The jury has two opposing experts. When the court adjourns for lunch, Christine remains in her seat, her eyes on the table. Her lawyer leans forward. They are attempting to smother us under doubt. Whether your account is true or not doesn't matter. If they can make the jury doubt it, that's all they require. She slowly nods, her thoughts whirling. There's another person who can vouch for it. Someone who was present on the day, along with Meri. Her lawyer's eyes shift into a narrowed look. Who? Christine pauses, looking in the direction of the hallway where Robyn is standing a few feet away, talking softly with Kody. I think, Robyn. He looks at her as if she's crazy. You think Robyn is going to stand up there and testify against him? Christine? She's been stuck on his arm the entire trial. Christine's lips compress into a hard line. Perhaps. But I know something that would make her talk. She doesn't say more, but she's reliving a conversation from years past in her head. Something Robyn blurted out, not thinking it would ever be important. If she presents it in court, it could corner Robyn into confessing the truth, or at least make her admit she knows something that she isn't sharing. When they return from lunch, Christine strikes. Her lawyer says they will be calling Robyn Brown to testify, not as a hostile witness, but as a friendly one who can clarify what happened the day in question. The shock on Kody's face is instant and visceral. He leans toward Robyn, gripping her arm tightly, his lips moving in a frantic whisper. She pulls back slightly, her expression tense, but she doesn't refuse. As Robyn approaches the stand, the whole courtroom leans in. This is the woman who's been publicly devoted to Kody for more than a decade. The one he's frequently stood up for harder than any other. Following the oath, Christine's lawyer starts. Robyn, you've been here in court most of this trial. You've heard testimony about signing a deed in 2018. Were you there that day? Robyn fidgets in her seat. Yes, I was there. And where did this signing occur? In the kitchen at the Flagstaff house. Christine's lawyer looks over at the jury before going on. Did you witness Kody Brown sign that document? Robyn pauses. She glances over at Kody, then at the judge. I don't recall clearly. Christine's lawyer moves in. Robyn, do you remember discussing something with me when we had the pre-trial interview? When I questioned you about the notary, and you told me? Kody's attorney springs to his feet. Objection. Counsel is trying to impeach the witness based on privileged discussion. The judge nods his head. Overruled, provided that it is related to comments made during discovery. Christine's lawyer doesn't hesitate. You testified you remembered the notary because she had complimented your kitchen decor. Do you dispute saying that? Robyn's face grows hot. Maybe I said that. I don't know. But you did observe her there, didn't you? And you did observe Kody sign that deed, didn't you? For a second, the tension is too much to bear. Robyn's eyes flash between Christine and Kody. Her lips open as though she's going to say something. But then they close again. The judge tilts forward. Answer the question, Mrs. Brown. Robyn swallows. Yes. I watched him sign it. The words just hang there like a thunderclap. Kody's mouth hangs open, and he smashes his fist on the table, his voice escalating. Robyn? What are you doing? The judge's gavel snaps. Mr. Brown. That's enough. The jury is observing every gesture, every face, and Christine is aware this was the break she had been waiting for. But in the recesses of her mind, she also knows Kody isn't done. If he feels pushed to the wall, he'll lash out more viciously than ever. The courtroom weighs more today. The atmosphere is thick, not only from the hum of voices or the rustle of papers, but from the heavy weight of everything that everyone knows is going to happen. Kody is seated at the defense table, jaw clenched, eyes squinting in that particular way he does when he's holding something back. Christine, seated opposite him, is different. Less the Christine he used to know, and more like a woman who survived a war for years. The merest trace of a smile plays on her lips, as though she knows something everyone else doesn't. The judge asks for order, and the audience goes quiet. Robyn's hand rests on Kody's arm, knuckles white. She leans forward, says something softly, but Kody doesn't react. His eyes are fixed on Christine, like he's attempting to shatter her resolve by simply looking. Christine's attorney is approached by the bailiff, who holds a thick, sealed envelope. It is handed to him, which he opens with slow deliberation, the pace of a magician pulling out the ploy before the grand reveal. Out of the envelope come a pile of papers, county property transfers, mortgage filings, and at the bottom, an official notarized deed. Kody's lawyer objects at once, charging these documents were not revealed prior to trial. But Christine's lawyer contends they're supplemental evidence, found only after a week-long dive through county records. The judge grants permission. Christine's attorney reads on. The dates, the signatures, the percentages of ownership transferred, it all reads like a picture that's a far cry from what Kody's been insisting. What these documents say is that Christine was the majority owner of the Coyote Pass property a couple of years before she even made public that she was leaving Kody. Gasps are heard rippling through the gallery. Janelle fidgets in her seat, while Meri leans forward, her eyes narrowed. Robyn goes pale. Kody begins slowly shaking his head. A stunned no that becomes more vocal with each word read aloud. And then Christine's attorney lets the bombshell drop. One of the signatures on the initial filing has been modified. The ink is different. The pen stroke is uneven. A handwriting expert has already been booked to take the stand. The judge orders a brief recess to allow Kody's team to review the evidence. The room erupts into whispers. Christine turns slightly, catching Janelle's eye, and there's an unspoken exchange between them. Something about vindication, but also something about risk. Outside the courtroom, in the hallway, flashbulbs pop, reporters yell questions. Kody strides by, expressionless, but the tension in his jaw gives away his anger. Robyn stays close behind him, cursing under her breath. Christine takes just a moment longer, responding to one question with a mysterious smile. Sometimes the truth takes a while to surface, but it always does. Back in court, when proceedings resume, the handwriting witness gets on the stand. They place side by side what appears to be Kody's signatures from the past, and the disputed one. The similarities are conspicuous by their absence. Even to untrained eyes, the jury can tell. Kody's attorney attempts to hint that the difference might be explained by signing when stressed, but the specialist is adamant. This is not a natural variation. This signature was affixed by another hand. Kody's calm snaps. He cuts in, blurting, "That's a lie." The judge bangs the gavel, ordering him to be silent. Robyn breathlessly whispers into his ear, but it only appears to stir him up further. Christine sits frozen in place, hands clasped in her lap, eyes fixed on the jury. It's no longer even about winning the case. It's about proving to them who Kody is. And that's when the next bombshell drops. Christine's attorney reveals they have a witness who can take the stand and swear that Kody attempted to bribe a county clerk to lose certain property records last year. The room erupts in whispers once more. The judge demands order, but the air crackles with tension. The witness, a middle-aged man with a frayed suit, makes his way to the witness stand. He identifies himself as a former county records office assistant. His voice doesn't waver as he describes the day that Kody reportedly walked into the office with an envelope full of money and requested to fix a mistake in the Coyote Pass case. Kody's face goes red. His attorney protests, alleging hearsay, but the witness presents an email from his previous boss ordering him to stay away from Kody Brown concerning file 4-5693. The boss's name is on the record, and the email is entered into evidence. The judge reclines in her chair, her eyes fixed on Kody with an expression that's difficult to discern but impossible to ignore. Janelle covers her mouth in shock from the gallery. Meri leans over to a friend next to her, her eyes wide, and whispers something. Robyn can't even conceal the flash of fear crossing her face. Christine's attorney seizes the opportunity to drive the point home. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this is not simply about property boundaries. This is about lies, about manipulation, about someone who is willing to rewrite history when it no longer serves them. Kody bangs his hand on the table, prompting another admonishment from the judge, but he's no longer running the room. The momentum has shifted, and everyone knows it. Still, Christine knows this fight isn't over, and she's about to face the most dangerous retaliation Kody has ever attempted. The final day of the trial arrives like a storm you've been hearing in the distance for days. Dark clouds heavy over the courthouse, the air charged with that uneasy energy before lightning strikes. The gallery is packed tighter than it's been all week. Reporters cluster at the front, notebooks open, cameras at the ready. All seats are filled, and even the hallway outside is abuzz with people stretching their necks to catch a glimpse of the drama soon to be played out. Kody comes in first, and you can tell right away. His shoulders are set, but his eyes betray him. They're itchy, flicking back and forth like he's looking for an escape. Robyn follows close behind him, her mouth clamped down into a thin line. She holds onto a folder, as if whatever's contained in it could be their savior. Christine arrives a few minutes later, and the atmosphere in the room shifts. She's serene, composed, near almost serene. Janelle moves beside her, slightly behind, her being there a wordless demonstration of support. Meri sits alone, her expression inscrutable, but her eyes tracking Christine with a quiet blend of curiosity and something else, perhaps even respect. The judge rises to the bench, and without delay, the trial continues. Christine's lawyer stands first, presenting their closing statement with the precision of one who knows they've already seeded what they need in the minds of the jury. They lead the jurors in reverse through the timeline, when the property was bought, how the percentages of ownership were quietly changed, how Christine's ownership mysteriously diminished on paper without her signature, and how handwriting analysis established that at least one document had been altered. Then they twist the knife further, calling the jury's attention to the testimony concerning the attempted bribe to the county clerk, and the supporting email that supported it. Their tone drops, leaning into the gravity of the moment. This isn't a matter of property. This is trust, betrayal, the lengths one will go to in order to maintain control, and today you hold the power to set it right. The room is quiet when they take their seat. Then it's the turn of Kody's attorney. They swing for the fences, attempting to demonize Christine as revengeful and manipulative, accusing her of using the courts to punish Kody for the failure of their marriage. They imply the witness who said there was a bribe has a personal vendetta, and that the handwriting expert's opinion might be faulty. Kody sits there glaring down at the jury, as if daring them to believe him, and for an instant, you half wonder if he actually believes he's in charge anymore, until Christine's lawyer rises for rebuttal. They don't shout, they don't have to. They simply glance at the jury and tell them if this had been all about revenge, there would be no paper trails. There would be no legal filings. There would be no email from a county office cautioning its employees to steer clear of a man by name. You don't have to take Christine's word for it. You just have to look at the evidence. The jury appears weary but intense, and that is when you sense it. The verdict is imminent, and nobody's breathing quite normally. The judge orders a recess prior to deliberation, allowing both sides the opportunity to compose themselves. In the hallway, the atmosphere seems even more heavy than within. Reporters mob Christine, questioning whether or not she believes in the verdict. She gives the same little smile she's had all week and just says, "I trust the truth." Kody, meanwhile, doesn't wait for anyone. He bullies through microphones, his jaw clenched, grumbling to himself. Robyn scrambles to keep pace, looking back over her shoulder as if she fears being pinned in. An hour passes and everyone's all back in the courtroom. The jury enters, their faces unreadable. The foreperson hands the clerk the paper, and he hands it to the judge. The silence is total. The judge clears her throat and starts reading. The verdict is given in deliberate words that sound like they're reverberating off the walls. Christine is found to be the legal majority owner of the Coyote Pass property. The supposed changes to the deed are deemed fraudulent on official grounds. And most incriminatingly of all, the case file will be sent to the county prosecutor for possible further investigation into criminal charges. The noise that follows is a combination of gasps, whistles, and frantic camera clicks. Christine lets out a breath. Not a melodramatic one, but a firm, steady one. She glances at Janelle, and they share a little nod that would be impossible to express in words. Kody's face is a tempest, flushed red, jaw locked, eyes afire. Robyn's hand goes out for his arm, but he jerks it away. Standing so suddenly his chair falls back on its hind legs. He stares at Christine, his tone low but with a cutting edge. "This isn't over." Christine doesn't blink. She just takes her belongings, turns around, and exits the courtroom alongside Janelle. Meri stands watching them leave, a curious twinkle in her eye, as if she's seeing something that surprised her. Outside, the steps of the courthouse are in a whirlwind. Cameras flash, reporters yell questions, individuals push from every side. Christine pauses at the top of the steps, Janelle behind her, and turns to face the crowd. "This isn't about winning," she tells them. "It's about the truth. And it's about ensuring no one believes that they can just take something from someone else simply because they believe that they can get away with it." But even as she exits, deep inside her, Christine recognizes Kody really did mean what he said, and that whatever decision he makes next might be worse than this one. She exits the mayhem, striding toward the waiting vehicle, her stance still unyielding. The flashing cameras capture her face for a final glance before the door shuts, separating her from the din. Behind him, half concealed in the throng, a man with a camera dips his lens and disappears into the shadows. He's not a journalist. He's not media. And the way he tracks Christine with his eyes leaves no doubt. This battle may be finished, but the war is not. Kody remains on the courthouse steps, surrounded by reporters but saying nothing. Robyn whispers to him urgently, but his mind is somewhere else, calculating, planning. He glances toward the crowd, where Christine's car just disappeared, and for a brief second, there's a smirk. Behind the courthouse doors, court staff start closing up. The gallery empties slowly, and the ring of the gavel grows distant. But for those present in the room today, it's not a sound that will be easily erased. Christine drives away in silence, city blurring by, in indistinct shapes and colors beyond her window. Janelle finally speaks up. "You know he's going to try something, right?" Christine nods slowly. "I know, but I'm ready this time." The car disappears into traffic, the courthouse now just a dot in the rearview mirror. Somewhere behind them, Kody's already setting the next plan in motion. And this time, the stakes won't just be about land. They'll be about legacy, loyalty, and how far someone's willing to go when they've lost everything else. And that's where the actual danger starts. Because nothing is more uncertain than a man who's out of ideas for winning, but won't take no for an answer.